In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Well, now we are deep in the beating heart of Rome, in what is called the Ara Coeli. It's just behind, or it's on the Capitoline Hill, actually, which, as we all know, is the political ethos, bureaucratic center of, even now, basically, of the Roman Empire. But at the time, it was the greatest thing of all time. And that it is, we have here, this is called the Capitoline Hill. This is part of the Capitoline Hill because shortly we're going to go up the Quadranata to the magnificent square designed by Michelangelo on the Capitol Hill. And behind here we have the Roman Forum. And we could say, certainly in the West, we could say that this place is the center, is the birth, where the birth of Europe took place. And eventually, we could say, because this is where the Roman Empire bureaucracy, the ethos, the armies, and the generals, well, they all were sent, used to come back here, and they're all sent out. It's rather like the James Bonds of the latter days. They were sent out, go to attack the Alemannia, the Germans, go attack the Spaniards, and they used to go off, and then they come back, and with all their armies, dun, 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 we are the greatest grandeur of all time. But anyway, we're at this church here because the Augusta, we have the Augustan age, so it's just worth thinking about it. You have the Christian age and you have the Augustan age. This is Pax Romana. When the Emperor Augustus, he became the emperor, there was what is known as the Peace of Augustus. But the point was, the only point is that it was a false peace, it was false news, because it was built on armies. So we all know the story when St. Augustine was dying in Carthage and the Vandals were attacking him, and everybody said to him, oh, you know, this is the end of the Roman Empire, the end of the church, the end of everything. And he said, look, take it easy, boys, I'm going to die. The Catholic Church will never die, but the Roman Empire is a fudge. And every empire, the English Empire, the Chinese Empire, the Spanish Empire, they're all human hubris. The only empire which goes on forever is the Catholic Church, is Christianity. Jesus Christ, the King of the Jews, became the King of the universe. That's the only empire which will last forever. So we have here, just by the way, we're all interested in money, 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 money. Where did the word money come from? Well, beside here was the goddess of Moneta. It was called Moneta, M-O-N-E-T-Y. Moneta was the mint. So the word money came from here. So money is quite important. So where did the word money come? From this place here, in the Arcs on the Capitoline Hill. Okay, now what we have here, what we're going to see now. You see here, what's happening here? When the Emperor Charles V came to Rome, he'd become Charles V due to a series of rather like the English Empire, you know, being I don't know, it was a kind of serendipitous situation. Charles V was the king of Spain, South America, all sorts of places, and Italy and other places, and he was going to come to visit Rome, and he stayed in Rome. And so the Pope got together and said, well, let's have a good welcome, welcome the Pope, rather welcome Charles V. So they got hold of Michelangelo, and Michelangelo built this is known as the Quadranata. And he said, at the top here, because at the time, the Roman Forum was just a muddy bog. So they would, let's tidy the thing up, because the emperor's coming up. Charles V, the great Charles V. Well, incidentally, just remember, Charles had his head screwed on. Why? Because he was this great emperor of this vast, the Netherlands, the great, and he came to Rome, and just before he died, he said, look, I'm going to go to heaven. My empire's never seen. He handed it over to whoever who came after him, went to a monastery in Spain and prayed for his sins. So people like me, these old guys, let's stop fooling around. Like the Roman Empire, every dog has its day. Let's prepare for heaven. So Charles V, but anyway, in his heyday, he came here, and Michelangelo was kind of dragooned into building. So at the top here we have Castor and Pollux. Okay, now why are Castor and Pollux so important, you know, all their nice naked figures up there. But Castor and Pollux were the progeny of Zeus, and I think it was Leda, one of his wives. And they were these two sons, and they were horsemen. You see, look, they've got these horses here. The horses are part of the story, and the Romans love them. So this is part of it. We all know, I don't know what the Latin adage, but you know, the idea was Rome captured Greece, but eventually Greece captured Rome. In other words, the Greek culture, the Greek religion, everything captured Rome. So when we begin capturing things, we remind ourselves that we're going to be captured by the things we capture. So, but these two gods, Castor and Pollux, were Greek gods. Many of the Greek gods became Roman gods, and these two gods were quite important because they saved the Roman Empire at a very dangerous juncture. And so we're going up now into the Capitoline. This is the Capitoline Hill, and that's where what we all know. You know, the capital. If you say Capitoline is the Capitol Hill. Capitol Hill comes from the Capitoline Hill. The first Capitol Hill is here, and the Americans want to kind of get hold of all these things. Now, just by the way, this is the statue of Marcus Aurelius, whom we all admire, his meditations and all this. But I only discovered yesterday, I was listening to a BBC program, and the BBC program was all about opium. And I never knew this, but it said on the program, it said, this guy, Marcus Aurelius, who we all revere, he was a Stoic and how wonderful figure, but he pestered the Catholic Church. He was an opium addict. So in his latter days, he was, you know, he was not compos mentis, because he was a Roman addict. But he put on a good show. It was rather, you know, rather like Mitterrand in France. You know, he was propped up, but he was already gone. So anyway, Marcus Aurelius was a great guy. And Michelangelo, he saw this statue and he said, "Walk," and he thought it would walk. But by the way, this has only been recovered because the Catholic Church are also guilty of vandalism. They would have destroyed this. They thought it was the statue of Emperor Constantine. But actually, so that's where it was saved. It was saved from the ravages of the Roman Empire. Okay, this is the Capitoline Hill, the center of the Roman government. And it still is. You've got the palazzos, you've got museums here full of everything. You've got the Venus de Milo and everything you could possibly think of these museums. And you see, this is magnificent, Marcus Aurelius on his horse. And many Catholics, they wrote to Marcus, they said, "You are a philosopher, why are you persecuting?" Well, here we have the gods of the Nile and the other gods. So gradually these pagan gods, we can remind ourselves, you know, why do we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? January, February, March, they were all gods. It's interesting, have you ever noticed that the French, okay, now we'll talk about that later. But now, what do we have here? This is what is known as the Via Sacra. Okay, now, why is it called the Via Sacra? Well, there are various reasons for it. One of the reasons, of course, is that all these things, what we're looking at is the Roman Forum. In other words, this, in its heyday, was just a magnificent pile of marble and silver and gold and gilt and magnificent, and people wandering around in togas with millions of slaves, and the goings-on were unbelievable. There was the produce of the whole Roman Empire. They were selling peaches from Samaria, Syrian goods, music, parchment, printing presses, offices, the curia, and there was everything you could think about here administered. Deep in the heart implant of Rome was the Roman Forum. And this is where you have a glimpse of the Via Sacra. But just by the way, we just mentioned, which we all know the story, because we'll go on to it now in a minute, that one day Gregory the Great, some people call Gregory the last consul, because when the Roman Empire was collapsing and they had the Exarch in Ravenna, the only guy who could keep the show going was the Catholic Church. And Gregory the Great was the man of the moment. When the Roman Empire was collapsing, there was no hope. This place, Roma, was a puddle, and you know, there were people banging at the doors. The mad Romans, the mad people, you know, these from the steppes, from China, the Vandals, everyone were coming in. What are we going to do? No problem. The Pope. We'll run the show. So the Catholic Church runs the show for 1,000 years. And we come up to the time of the Reformation. Who bust the show? Our friend Father Luther, the young priest who went completely mad, bust up the whole show. And what is the end result? Brexit, Grexit, Mexit, Muxit, muck up, which we have today. Why? Because the whole of Europe was built by from the Roman, the Greek civilization becoming Catholic, building up the Europe. And now what do we have? It's just a complete farce. And why is it complete? Because we've forgotten our roots. Okay, now you see here these. You can see, and here there are different basilicas. You see, this is the Basilica of Aemilia and Basilica Regia. These two big basilicas. We all know that basilicas were the meeting halls, because when the Rome became Catholic, where do we worship? Well, the only thing is use these magnificent, huge, big halls, which are part of the Roman bureaucratic system, and we convert them into churches. So the word basilica, I think actually worship also comes from king. It's a basileus, I think. So it has some kind of connotations there. But anyway, these were the Aemilian Basilica. Those are these churches. And this is the Saturn and all the rest of it. Okay, now we'll go along here. You see the Via Sacra, and we've just mentioned you see, now just by the way, you see this. I may be mad, or maybe I'm wrong. I'm not sure. But I think that is actually the original Curia. See this little thing at the back there? I'm not sure. But anyway, it's about this area. We have the word the Roman Curia. The Roman Curia was where the Roman Senate used to meet, and that's why. So if you look at this place, we get the word Curia. We get the word Saturn. This is the god Saturn, which is Saturday. We get the word money. We get the word forum. There's a whole lot of now which I can't really think of. But there are all sorts of words coming to the English language through this. But we just remind ourselves, the great man Gibbon, he looked at this and he said, sic transit gloria mundi. So falls the glory of the world. And he wrote The Rise and Fall of the Roman Empire, when he saw this pile of rubbish, and then he thought, what was this magnificent Roman Empire? What's come of it? And that is the glory of the world. And eventually, the only thing that stands is the Catholic Church. When this Brexit thing is all over, the Catholic Church will be still standing there, in spite of what the priests have been up to. Okay, now we will continue our little thing here. Okay, we're now in the Roman Forum. Now this is the Arch of Septimus Severus. Well, he was one of them. We've just mentioned the column of Trajan was memorably to commemorate the victory over the Dacians, over the Romanians. But this is to commemorate the victory over the Parthians. So we can remember, the Parthians were the great thing. The Parthians, I suppose you could include the Persians and all these people, but the Parthians, they kind of generic terms like the Goths. You have the Ostrogoths, the Visigoths. What all these terms mean, you leave it to the experts, and they don't even know what they're talking about. But anyway, this is the Emperor Severus. But just by the way, it's a sort of a insight into humans' evil nature. When Septimus Severus, you say this is called the Attic, by the way. What that means is the Attic. You say, oh, very broad, very nice, very beautiful. And this is called a plinth, PLI. These are plinth, Attic, capitals, etc. We all know the terms. Okay, the Arch of Severus. But anyway, when the Septimus Severus died, he had two sons. Well, at least two sons. Okay, I just mentioned this guy. He had at least two sons. So they were Caracalla and Getam. Caracalla proceeded to kill Getam. And the thing is that he was such a fool, he obliterated all the names of his brother. He killed his brother. Not only killed, he wanted to consign him to oblivion. So he obliterated his brother's name, Geta, from here. So all we have is Septimus Severus, Caracalla, and you know, it was completely mad. But anyway, that's the situation. So anyway, we'll see you anon. Have a good time. God bless. Okay. All right. Now since